Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold, and for today's unscripted rant, let's talk about video games, and let's talk about why we play them. Why do we play video games? Why do we play games at all, right? And listen, y'all have heard from me before that I think that video games should be a source of fun. And that, in and of itself, that's why I play games. I used to, really, and I mean really, care about, my stats in a certain game, or, being the best at something, and really just sinking every waking hour. Whenever I would get home from school, I would just sort of be on, Minecraft Sky Wars or something. That was a big one for a while. That, I would be on something like that, and I would just be sinking every waking hour of it into that. And, I took it really, really seriously. And it got to a point where, grinding all of the, stats out, trying to get the best kits and perks, as it were, it was... I can't really say I was having a whole lot of fun, but I was grateful when I was actually able to, finish something off and achieve one of the goals that I had set for myself in the game. And that is kind of that's kind of what kept me in it for so long. It's like you do all this stuff, you get, the best kits and the best perks and the best everything, I guess, and that feeling of, the words on the tip of my tongue. It's 3:30 a.m. as I record this, and I really should have done this earlier, but I guess just the feeling of rewardance. That sounds very George W. Bush of me, but rewardance, that's what we'll go with. The rewardance that you feel when you actually finish something. And that, for a while, kind of just consumed me. And I guess I can partially equate that to Wiz, because with Wiz, you've got, there are 170 levels, and we're about... 7-ish months away from going up to 180, and that's gonna be a whole thing. But it's I guess talking about the sunk cost fallacy can sort of fit into a video like this. It's if you stop having fun in a game, but you still play it, maybe you still make content on it, because you feel like all of your effort has gone to waste if you don't. That is a cruel cycle, and it's one that I think is very hard to break out of. And I've been through this with multiple games. There was a game that I talked about in an MCSG video from a little under 2 months ago, and in that video I talked about how I was addicted to it. And this is a game, by the way, I think, if any of y'all have ever played Blitz survival games, I don't know if I ever said it in the video or really at any point, but it was Blitz survival games on the Hypixel network. It's very similar to what you're seeing now, but worse, and I think that is what I said in that older MCSG video. But Blitz has these kits. There are 42 kits, and you need some insane number, almost 1.5 million coins, to take a kit from level 1 to level 10. And you don't really get 1.5 million coins super quickly. So it's and I want to say 12 or 13 level 10 kits, with the potential to actually get a 14th right now, if memory serves. And I also have a Prestige 2 kit, which cost a lot, which cost 2,500,000 coins at that point. Another 2.5 million coins tacked onto that initial cost. So you know, I was helplessly addicted to that for the better part of a few years, and I stopped having fun. But it was like I was saying at the beginning, you know, when I would get a level 10 kit, it would feel so good. Like, that was a moment of celebration for me. And it would be like, oftentimes I never even used the kit as I was leveling it up. I was just using other kits and kind of just getting them to level 10 for like collecting sake. But that was what it was for me. And I stopped having fun in that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it was pretty bad. It's like I was having fun, but I stuck around because yeah, I mean, it was still fun to win the games, and you know, when that would happen. And it was also fun to max out my kits. And of course, I am nowhere near the the max shop or whatever, but yeah. And a big part of why I didn't find it fun was the fact that the game was rather neglected, and the admins didn't really make any substantive changes for quite a while. I think December 2021 may have been the last time it got a meaningful update. And that was when the admin said that was going to be their last update. So anything that was unbalanced as a result of that update, and I tell you, there were many things that were unbalanced as a result of that update, they would not pay it any mind, and they would not fix it. And there honestly were a lot of game design choices that had been made throughout Blitz's, I guess, 12-year history it's been now, maybe longer even. But the bottom line is, this might start to sound familiar. It's like there were all of these game design choices that made the game less balanced and less fun to play. Maybe that sounds familiar to some of you watching this in the audience today. But they would do this, and then updates would be few and far between. And obviously not on the scale that it is with Wiz. You know, with Blitz, it was maybe a yearly patch to fix some bug or whatever. And that was sort of how that went. And it's like, things just sort of ran the meta for so long, and it was never balanced. And that, I think video games should be fun. And I think that the point that I'm trying to make in this long and roundabout way is that the developers of games, or like the admins on a server in Blitz's case, but the developers of a game should be trying to make the game the most fun that it can be. Sometimes there are cases where, you know, a game will need some balancing. Wiz certainly has for all of its history. But they should always be pursuing an option that is most fun. And that, I think, is where Wiz has sort of fallen short. And I mean, you've heard me talk about this a million times at this point, if you're like a longer term viewer, but with the introduction of the Rochambeau system and how automatic losses were introduced, and, you know, when spell elements got added in summer of 22, that, I think, was the real last straw for Wiz having any hope of being fun again. Because, you know, it's like spell elements just raise the barrier to entry to high heaven, and I don't see them reverting that. And spell elements and path B spells, even path A in some scenarios like Storm Owl, it's like there's all these things that have, I guess, in a way become more balanced, but at the same time they're also, you know, things that were deliberately left to be unbalanced, like the Ice versus Fire matchup. I've actually been streaming some Fire PvP over on my Twitch, which is linked in the description of every video. And let me tell you, anytime I queue a Storm, and that is frequent, that's about like a good 30 to 40% of my matches, with another 30 to 40% being other Fire Wizards, because that's how it is right now. But It's like anytime I queue into one of those matchups, and later this week I'm going to be linking up with Cass again to do another tier list for all the matchups, but anytime that I get a matchup that I just am not supposed to win, that's not fun. And I mean, that's the most simple way that I can put it. If it's not fun, I don't want to play it. And that is why I haven't uploaded PvP content to this channel in 2 months as of today. I mean, I still follow the meta, and I still, know what's good and what's not. But, I mean, look, it's like the way things used to be was undoubtedly not balanced at all. And, I mean, Fire, Ice, and Balance ran the meta for so long. But in 2020, that's when the devs started to care about PvP, and they were balancing things, but keeping the fun factor. And, the spring update in 2020 was what brought probably the singular best change that PvP has ever seen in its 14-year history. And that is... or 16-year history now. I completely miscalculated the year, but 16 years. And the best change that ever happened in those 16 years was the spring of 2020 when turn-based got added. Ratbeard himself was behind that. And that, I'll give him all the praise in the world for introducing that, because the singular most broken mechanic is first versus second. And once turn-based got added, it's like the disparagement between Fire, Ice, and Balance and all the other schools, that went down a ton. And, some seriously broken combos, like, send in a giant overtime from first or whatever, that was, less good, because everybody was carrying triage in those days, and, that just really balanced the game a lot, but it made it more fun. And that, I think, was a really, really good change. Then the summer came along, and while the spell nerfs were less popular, they were needed for PvP, and that's, I'm sure, why they were balanced that way. Because spring of 2020 was when they started giving a shit about PvP after what was at that point 11 years. So yeah, so the summer was when they did the spell nerfs, and those were, in my opinion, a good change. For PvP, of course, not for PvE. But for PvP, they were a good change. And, that was 2 straight updates where, the devs were doing good. They were on a hot streak in 2020. And then, August came around, Balance finally got a 2-pip damage bubble. And, of course, Death and Life will get theirs later that year. But they also nerfed crit healing, and even though I had a crit healing setup that I was going to use on my Life Wizard at the time, it's like that substantially helped with the Jade problem. And, it's like we were at a point where jading was not good, and the game was still fun. It's like there's not really much else to it than that. It's like they were making good changes, and they were on a hot streak. And then the fall came. With the fall of 2020, that was when Caramel came out. And that was also when, pre-enchanted treasure cards and enchants in general outside of Solar Surge all got banned from PvP. That was a change that, while it did balance the game some more, because, let's be real, at that point in time, enchants were doing mass, and, the health pools weren't really all that large, and all this other stuff. It's like enchants just sort of weren't healthy, I guess, for the game. And, I'm looking back, and I do understand that, and I even think I understood it at the time. It's just not being able to pull enchanted hits, not being able to pull hits from the side deck, just as a blanket concept. That was what made the game less fun. It was more balanced, but it was less fun. And that was when I quit for 3 years. And I don't really have any accurate information from, the fall of 2020 all the way through to, the fall of 2023, around there, a little before that update. But, yeah, I mean, the developers at King's Isle, I feel like their hearts are in the right place. but they're loose cannons at best. And there have been times when they've been pointed in the right direction with the spring and summer 2020 updates. But ever since those two updates and the subsequent patches throughout the rest of that summer, those felt like flukes. It's like, looking back, it's like the summer of 2020, maybe the early fall, were the last times we got a good PvP update that didn't make the game infinitely less fun to play. And now we're here. Now we're here in the big 25, end of March, you know, spring update came out this month, and that, I feel like, has made the game less fun in some aspects. And there are still things on the horizon that KingsIsle is going to do, things that they're going to change in terms of, you know, where PvP is, and they're going to make them less fun. It's like, there is a guy sort of involved in a one-sided beef with me, I guess because of my 75 Ice Games video. I said he was a whiz gangster. He wasn't actually a whiz gangster. That was sort of just me overreacting at the time. I will say that. I hope that's sufficient for you, buddy. But but yeah, he wasn't actually a whiz gangster, but you know, he's been in a months-long, almost 4 months at this point. Wow, 4 month long one-sided beef with me. But even he has like brought up some things that I think do deserve some attention. It's like, he and I both say that we hope we're not around for when KingsIsle does a minion and polymorph audit, because that's what they're trying to do now. It's like this past update in the fall, rather, with Selenopolis, that was the Star School update. We got negative auras, we got more auras just in general, so who knows what's next. I mean, hopefully Sun is next. I feel like I would still have fun playing with that, because a sun-centered update would completely change how bubbles work. I hope bubbles get banned. I'm going to say it because they're kind of crazy, but you get the point. But there's all these things on the horizon that are going to make the game even less fun than what it currently is, and that, I think, is a problem. And wow, I mean, I've been kind of talking for about 10 minutes now about just this, and I feel kind of bad because I've said it a million times before, but I don't know. These MCSD videos, they're sort of reserved for rants like this, if that makes a lick of sense. But yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I do want to touch on is some of the PvE activities that there are. It's like, this channel has been primarily PvP focused for so long, but there's so many other things to do in Wiz, I just don't find them fun. And video games should be fun. That's the point of the video. It's like, games should be designed with fun in mind, and right now Wiz has not. And I made all those Blitz SG analogies because Blitz also was not. So there was that as well. But with Wiz, I think it's like the PvE activities. You won't catch me dead doing Beast Moon. I hate Beast Moon. It's so unfun. I also don't like the decathlon. I'm honestly, I never got into housing decoration. I'm just not that kind of person. And there's all this other stuff, you know. It's there's things that I just don't find fun in this game. PvP is one of the more fun things, if you can believe it. But yeah, I mean, that's just my perspective on things. I do think that video games should be fun. I'll say it a million times over again. But yeah, that's, I think, where I'm going to wrap this one up. So thank you all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.